With light winds, the clean green water has rolled in from the Gulf. The bayous and the bays are full of fish according to our guides. So if you're going fishing, stay tuned for our reports here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome back to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Y'all, now that the Clips Mania is over, which was really neat to see, by the way,
yes,
let's get back to fishing. Rick, did you see the clips?
Absolutely, I did.
Absolutely. Did you turn your costas sideways, did a little
Two
polarization?
costas, blacked it out, looked up there. Beautiful.
It was pretty neat to see.
It was cool.
All right, well, I know it's been stifling hot out there, but the fish are still biting if you're willing to stand the heat. Rick, I was on 3 different lakes this weekend with our upper fresh guide and our middle fresh guide, and we caught some fish, had some fun. It was awesome. That's Rick Carter there with our little 2.5, 3-pound bass we caught.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fun. There's Stephen Johnston out on Toledo Bend.
Nice.
Sunrise is pretty beautiful.
Crappies?
And we caught some crappie. Wasn't a crappie day on the water, that's for sure.
I love it.
I know, there you go.
For you,
well,
Bree.
you know, it was beautiful. We caught fish, but I think the best part about it was meeting all the fans that we've made from the show.
That's so cool.
It was so cool to hear, and they're, you know, y'all really love hearing our reports and all of our captains, and of course, Rick and I. So good job, Rick.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah.
But I know Dave Farrell at the CCA Workbench would love to go with me to Texas next time, wouldn't you, Dave?
Yeah, but I hear, you know, I guess they didn't say nothing about me. I guess not.
They didn't, but that's all right. Next time.
I can live with it.
Next time we'll go fishing with
Look at him, he's sad.
someone. He's
I
so
am
sad. He's
Sad
so
Dave.
sad.
I don't like sad.
All right, unfortunately, I didn't make it to the Middle Coast region, but Bink Grimes, I will make it to you someday soon, I promise.
We're waiting. I tell you, just like you said, those calm days are returned, and it's allowed our bay to green, and it's kind of given us unlimited real estate to fish. The easterly flows allowed the barometer to drop, and man, when that barometer drops, our fish really, really bite. It's done wonders for the back bay bite, according to Lynn Smith and Fort O'Connor. He said solid 18 to 20-inch trout were found on top waters and soft plastics while wading grassy shorelines. And then those areas around Pascaval has been just as good with fishing for tide running trout, exiting and entering the pass there in the jetty. Soft plastics, globe, soft plastics, fried chicken, bass assassins have worked well, along with white diamond down south lures and purple demon little johns. And Palash's guide Ray Sexton's still getting them. He's had to work harder here lately on the windy days, but in the last 2 days it's calmed, and it's been really good on the south shoreline. The early morning incoming tide's been best, and he said a lot of his fish have been caught well before sunrise in spots like Pipeline, Spanish Lake, One Island, and Airport Flat. East Matagorda Bay is giving up good catches. I was there this morning, same deal. I left the dock about an hour and a half before sunrise. I caught my first fish on top water probably 30 minutes before sunrise. I didn't even see it hit, just felt it, and that's what's happening. It's just hot, and we're getting out early and catching them on Super Spook, She Dogs, around Droll's Lump, 3 Beacon Reef, Long Reef, and Half Moon Reef. Our region hasn't had significant rainfall, but that's probably going to change this weekend with Tropical Storm Harvey coming through. But what's happened, our rivers are real green, and they're salty, and that's been a good plan to have in our back pocket when the wind blows. We drifted the banks of the Colorado River last week, scored limits of trout. And on the incoming tide, the fish were tight to the bank at about 2 to 5 foot on that drop, and then the tide fell later in the morning. And we caught those fish about 40 yards off the bank at about 14 foot of water on top waters and soft plastics. And man, they came up and hit Super Spooks, and it was just a good bite. And there's a photo there of the incoming tide around Fort O'Connor and Palacios. Man, it's been good for limits of trout. Like I said, first hour of daylight. We'll go switch to redfish, and August is normally a tough month to find redfish consistently in the shallows because our tides are boiling. But lately we're going to get a big influx of water in the bay from this tropical storm, and it's going to cool the water, and it's going to pump water up in the back in the flats. It's going to turn 6 inches of water into probably 2.5 foot of water, and that really gets our redfish going. Lynn Smith said he's caught good catches of redfish in the back legs. He's been really looking for trout, but the redfish have kind of crashed the party on him, which isn't a bad deal. Same deal in the Colorado River in Matagorda. There's a lot of 6 to 8 pound redfish blowing up right on the bank. I mean, you throw a topwater right up against the bank, and they are blowing it up. there and the diversion channel. And waders on the east end of East Matagorda Bay found redfish around Brown Cedar Flat. Some of them are up to 32 inches, and man, they really test your drag. Still steady on Surfside, Fort O'Connor and the Matagorda Jetty on mullet and large table shrimp. Offshore, these last 2 days and then the coming week, it's been calm. So Michael Quebec has gone out there and about 70 miles off the beach and drifting about 14 to 1,800 foot of water for swordfish. He's drifting strip baits over the hilltops and the ledges. Most of those fish are in the 70 to 90 pound range, and that's during the day. During the night, those fish are coming up at about 600 foot of water, and he's drifting the squid over the hilltops then. Our swordfish fishery is a good one, but man, people rarely target it because it's a long trip. You got to take a day and a night to get after them. So it can be a 50-50 affair too. You might do everything right, kind of like turkey hunting, and not catch them, and then do everything wrong the next time and catch them. So you never know. We'll go offshore with the red snapper as well. There's less than 2 weeks of red snapper season left for all our recreational anglers, and they're legal to harvest through Labor Day. Forecast is calling. It was calling for 1 to 2 seas like today and tomorrow. This weekend it's going to be pretty bumpy. It's probably going to knock us out with that tropical storm in the Gulf. So that's probably going to wreck it. But chunks of squid, sardines, and Russell lures will work well in federal and state waters. And there's still those fish pushing 20 pounds. They're in about 80 to 100 foot of water. And the smaller fish, 10 to 12 pounders, are still in 25 to 40 foot of water, about 8 to 15 miles out. So, man, you can get out there in 30 minutes and catch a limited snapper and get back, kind of like just a long bay boat ride. So that's what we got going, All
right, Bink, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Middle Coast hotspots. Bink says that inshore, we should probably go trout fishing. It's all good around the Colorado River while drifting live shrimp under a popping cork in 5 to 14 feet of water. The trout are up to 4 pounds. They have eaten top waters even before daylight. And then offshore, swordfish are good during the day in 1,400 to 1,800 feet of water while drifting strip baits over the hilltops. At night, those fish can be found in 600 feet of water, Bree.
Okay, if you're in the lower fresh region, Lake Amistad is on fire with the bass bite, and Matt Reed is on the line with all the info you'll need to pull one of these suckers up. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Bree, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm all off the water and cooled off and ready to talk about it a little bit.
Well, tell us,
what
you got, Daddy?
What I got? Well, we're going to start with largemouth bass like I always do. And let's start out at Lake Amistad. As far as lake conditions, she's 34 foot low, water temperatures in the mid-80s. And you can catch them a bunch of different ways down there right now. The main thing, it all is related to the hydrilla. It's all grass related. So early in the morning, with that clear water around that grass, you need to be throwing the top water. Walking baits or pop-R type lures will catch them really early. When the sun comes up, those fish kind of back out a little bit. You can catch them on square bills off the outside edge of the grass or swim baits on belly-weighted hooks. But probably the best way to catch them, as the sun comes up and gets bright, is on a Texas rig soft plastic with a lightweight fished on the outside edge where the hydrilla starts to scatter down. When it gets really high sun in the middle of the day, one of the best ways to catch those bass in the hydrilla is to take a 1 ounce weight and braided line and punch through the heavy mats. Get you a beaver or a Strike King Rage Menace and punch it down through the grass, and they're under that canopy there. It's shade and cool and oxygen and food. Everything they want is down there. That's my report for Amistad. That's from Ray Hanselman there. Let's roll on down the road to Falcon a little bit, and I've been on the water the last 2 days, and fishing has been really good. Yesterday we had 75 plus fish. Today probably 50. Caught most of them either cranking a Z-Boss 20 crankbait in the chartreuse blue patterns. Those baits are catching. Seems like my biggest fish are coming on the crankbaits. The other way to catch them is throwing a stand-up head with soft plastic on it, either a Zoom Magnum trick worm or a great big straight tail worm, 11-inch worm. And that's giving up a bunch of numbers with a few good ones mixed in. So I'm fishing that on the rock on the lower end of the lake. So falcon's been really good. So give me a holler and get on down here and catch you some. Gonna roll down the road to Fayette County. Greg Boyk sent me a report from Fayette County. He says it's been really good early in the morning on top waters along the dam. Also real late in the evening, that bite repeats itself along the dam, throwing a top water. When it gets a little brighter in the days, he backs up off the rocks there and throws soft plastics, Texas rig, and is able to catch quite a few fish doing that also. The main lake points in 15 to 20 foot have had some big numbers of fish. If you can find the right school gathered up, he's catching those fish on flutter spoons and football jigs. Shift gears a little bit over to Lake Somerville. Somerville, the bass are also active along the riprap on the dam and around the boat ramps. You know, boat ramps are always a good pattern, and a lot of time they're overlooked. They'll concentrate around those in the mornings and later on in the day. A square bill crankbait is probably the best way to catch those fish on the dam and around the boat ramps right now, because they're in that less than 5 foot range. When the sun gets higher, move out and throw Carolina rigs, soft plastics out on the main lake points at Somerville. Brian Cotter sent me a report from Lake Travis. Kind of typical for this time of the year on one of those hill country lakes. Your best chance is early in the morning on either popar or a spook type walking bait, either in the marinas where the shad are congregated, or in the pockets and shorelines with a shad. The whole key is to find the schools of shad, and you can catch you some topwater fish relating to those shad. Later in the day on that clear water fishery there at Travis, it gets pretty tough, so you need to concentrate on the mornings to make it happen.
Tell me about this bass photo here, Matt.
That's a big old bass that Greg Boyk caught the other day at Fayette County on the topwater off the dam. So that's what he's talking about going on early in the mornings. Has a little proof in his hand.
All right, tell me about some redfish. What's this freshwater redfish in the lower fresh region? I love it.
Don't you love those saltwater fish in freshwater? Lake Browning, just outside of San Antonio, the redfish are biting really well. It's a power plant lake, and redfish do well in those, and several of them in Texas. They're biting rattle baits right now in the pockets in 5 to 12 foot. Let it go to the bottom, and then do a yo-yo retrieve back. Pick it up and let it fall. Pick it up and let it fall. Buddy that sent me that report, they caught 20 of them the other day, so it can be a whole lot of fun, a lot of action.
You got a photo here you want to tell me about?
Yeah, that's just one of those reds from Browning that fell prey to that chrome shad-colored rattle bait, and that's a lot of fun because those things will bend your rod.
Man, I'm telling you, I like the fact that we've got some crossover going there. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the lower fresh region hotspots. Bass fishing in Lake Amistad. The bass are still biting well around the hydrilla. Throw topwaters early in the morning and Texas rig soft plastics after the sun comes up. And then redfish. Lake Browning is producing plenty of redfish. Throw those rattle baits with a yo-yo style retrieve in 5 to 12 feet of water.
How do you like that?
Freshwater
redfish.
Yo-yo. I
Gonna
like
yo-yo
how
it?
we would call it like
Walk
jig
the
the
dog.
rod tip, and they're yo-yoing in Texas. I like it. I like it.
What he's doing?
That's how you
I have
yo-yo.
no idea. He's
That's what he
yo-yoing.
said.
Of course
Raise
he
it
did.
up, drop it down. Raise it up, drop it down, just like a yo-yo. Okay, come
We're
on.
yo-yoing up
Yes,
over to
stick
the
it with
upper
me.
fresh region, and then we're seeing what Dave is howling about over at the CCA workbench. Dave, will you just reach on
my
over and gaff this one
that's
over here?
That's what we're going to do. We're going to show people how to reach out and touch someone with the gaff. Nice and easy.
We're gonna
no
knight them.
lumberjacking. Nice and easy
Nice
stuff.
and easy. We'll be right back.
Come here, George. Come
The
here.
Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. The American Fishing Tackle Company. Precision tackle and performance clothing since 1958. Guy Harvey, marine wildlife artist and conservationist. Navionics. We start where the road ends. CCA Texas, a leader in marine conservation. And Okuma, inspired fishing.
Meet the water's lightest 25 horsepower four-stroke, the all-new Yamaha F25, the new standard and 25 horsepower portable four-strokes. At just 126 pounds, it's got the best power-to-weight ratio of any 25 horsepower four-stroke on the water. With performance that bests the previous Yamaha F25 and features like Yamaha's VTS for precise trolling speeds, batteryless EFI, built-in resting pads, and carry handles, it's the perfect portable power for small boats.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Remember to follow our guides and be up to date on all things fishing in Texas. Make sure to head over to TexasInsiderFishingReport.com. You can catch all of our shows on our YouTube channel as well. Remember to like us on Facebook at Texas Insider Fishing Report and follow us on Instagram at TifferTV. Also, don't forget to send and tag us in your Fishtastic photos and videos. But now it's time for Rigs and Techniques.
So Dave, here at the CCA workbench,
yes, sir.
We talk about a lot of different things. And
right.
I'm really excited about tonight's topic.
Well, it's about the end game, when you got a fish up and you're wanting to take it, you're wanting to keep the fish, you're going to put a gaff in it. And first off, you want to start out, you want to make sure you have the right tools for the job, because this is a very important part of the whole deal. If you mess this up, you've got nothing. So first off, you want to have a pair of good gloves on. I never touch any kind of leader material, either wire or mono, unless I got a pair of gloves on, because I don't want to get cut. If I'm a mate on a boat and I get cut on the first day, I'm worthless to the team for the rest of the time. So take care of yourself, wear a good pair of gloves. It also helps when you're trying to get that leader up, it's not slipping as much, especially if you're taking the proper wraps.
Can I ask you a question? I know you
Sure.
got a lot to talk about.
Sure.
A lot of the mistakes, the guys grab with a pair of gloves and they can't feel actually how much pressure. Your advice, 2 fingers?
Yep, I always give it a little pinch just to see what the fish is going to do. Also, I want to get a reaction from the fish. You've been pulling on the fish for however long you've been to fighting him at the same drag setting. Most people don't even mess with their drag. It stays at strike. So the fish has been fighting for 15 minutes at 15 pounds of drag, and then the mate reaches out there and grabs the thing or puts more drag on it. The fish is going to make a reaction. Either it's a billfish or a dolphin or a tuna. Okay. We also want to make sure you have good shoes on. I don't like to have my mate who's doing the wiring or the gaffing being barefoot. I don't want him to be sliding around.
Closed toes.
Yeah, and if he gets a big fish on a gaff and he can't get a good purchase, he's getting drug around the deck. I don't want that either. I want him to have a good pair of shoes on. Your gaff should match the size to the fish you're catching. You'll see a lot of on boats, a lot of bamboo with a little fish hook on it, and that's their gaff. Well, that's fine for bottom fish and little fish 10, 15 pounds. But once you start getting bigger, you're going to want a decent gaff with a decent hook on it, like this AFCO gaff, something that you're going to be able to lift the fish out. A tuna or a marlin, yeah, perfect for a cobia. A tuna or a marlin can pull out straight in a big gaff, so you want to have a good size one. Also, when you're fishing for kingfish or wahoo, you got to make sure that you don't have this gap is too wide, because a lot of times you can go right over the body of one of those narrow-bodied fish, especially if you're making a quick stab in the dark when the fish isn't under control, and you do that, and then you lift that fish. You think you got a gaff in him, and you lift him into the boat, and he falls off, and that's a dangerous situation when you have a kingfish or a dolphin, you know, in the boat with you know, running around. Try to hit every fish that you're doing in the head. You know, does three things. First off, it saves the meat. It kills the fish very fast. And when he's on the gaff, if you've got a good headshot, it's hard for him to shake off. If you hit him further back in the body, he can use his whole body to whip off the gaff. But when you've got his head, he's pinned.
Okay, so we're going, here's our fish. He's going from our left to right.
Right. Let's say we're on the starboard side of the boat.
You're going to come in behind the leader, right? Here's your angler. You're going to come in behind.
What I'll do,
go
a lot of times if it's a fish laying alongside of the boat, like I want him to, we want the guy who's driving the boat to keep the boat in gear, to keep the fish under control. A lot of times that doesn't happen, like if you got a bunch of schoolie dolphin behind the boat and you're anchored or drifting. It's a lot harder, but if you can keep the fish going in one direction, like I'll try to keep the fish on this side of the boat, because I like to grab the leader with my left hand and hit him with my right hand. But when the fish is coming alongside, sometimes I'll even lay the gaff on the leader and slide it down with the point hook towards his tail, so it comes straight down, and right when it gets close to his face, I hit him like that. And that way I hit him in the face every time, because it's this far that I can only go back, or however big my gaff is, I'm going to hit him that far away from his face. So I'm always going to hit him in the head, probably knock his eyeballs out, which is perfect. If I can come straight down and get him with the eyeballs, and then I call the whole thing in. Never put a gaff in a fish unless you've got a place to put it beforehand. I know some boats don't have a fish box, but I hope you have a cooler or something, because when you gaff a cobia or a dolphin that goes berserk when it gets a gaff in it, you want to have that thing going immediately in one smooth motion into the box, and you want to have one guy whose job is to open and close that box. And when he opens the box, his job is to say, "Hey guys, the fish box is open," because I've stepped in fish boxes a few times. And one time I had a big 50-pound dolphin on my chest, flopping around with two giant 12-0s, right near my jugular vein. It was banging, 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 because I didn't know the fish box was open. I shouldn't have hit the fish unless I know that the box is open and it's ready.
So what else you got?
I don't know.
You know, what's about wind-ons?
Keep a dolphin's head in the water. If a dolphin's head comes out of the water, he's going to start jumping. You can't hit a fish in midair. I mean, you might be able to, but it's going to be hard. Tuna fishes, you want to pop his head out of the water. If you pop a tuna's head out, he's done. You know, you want him. That's how you've done your job, and now you can just reach over and stick a gaff in him. But you don't want to pull a dolphin's head out of the water, and you don't want to touch a tuna fish's tail at any time, because once you hit his tail, then he's a prey animal too, so he gets scared when something touches his tail.
Speaking of doing your job, you did a great job here tonight. Thank you so much, Bree. It's time for you to do your job.
And no lumberjack hack.
Oh, right, I forgot the no Babe Ruth, no swinging for the fences. Easy.
No hacking, just one smooth motion. Okay, let's check in with the Upper Fresh region and your guide, Rick Carter. Rick, I can't tell you how awesome it was fishing with you this past weekend. Another huge thank you to Lake Fork Marina and Motel, and not to mention the pies at Tiffany's.
Oh, man, that was a blast, Bree.
It was.
Can't wait for you to get back, because I know next time we're going to have a different shot at those big ones.
All right.
We're going to go to Lake Caddo this week over on the far east side. The lake has started producing fish on the grass lines in 3 to 5 foot of water. Texas rig finesse worms with watermelon red dip tail. Also, the frog bite is picking up on Caddo in the pads. They've had some rain like forecast. The heavy grass lines use a popping frog and the ribbit style frog. They're both catching fish. The big fish this week were caught with a 1 ounce flipping punching rig. The V&M J-Bug was the best bait for that. We've got a new reporter, Randy Deaver, over on Caddo. He's an awesome guide there. He was having fun punching that matted grass with a 1 ounce. Moving on to Lake Ray Roberts, their lake is full pool. The bass are good on Carolina rig flukes and shad assassins. On the Carolina rig, about a 3-foot leader, watermelon candy color with a dip tail, catching fish off the points. Also football jigs and deep cranks off some of the main lake points with sharp drop-offs are catching some bigger bass on Ray Roberts. Also, the locals are catching white bass down on the lower lake right now on minnows on Ray Roberts Lake. Moving on to Fork, we had the 11-inch rain last week right before Bree got here, so the floodgates came open. We caught most of our fish throwing a shaky head and a wacky rig with a bass assassin tap-out worm and a chartreuse pumpkin. We had a lot of water flowing through, so that wacky rig was actually the best bait. Now we're catching them again on the 3/4 Cordell spoon, 15 to 20 foot with almost a vertical presentation. And they've started hitting the top waters again on the points, shallower points this week as the gates have closed now on Fork.
Tell me about this photo here, Rick.
That is a giant, Murphy. Trace Hooker from Chicago caught that fish about a day before Bree got to Fork. That was a 10-8, man. He was sure excited to catch that.
You go, little dude. You stole my fish.
That's what we call that a hereafter. That's what Bree was there after.
Yes.
She sure was, man.
We had
That would have been so exciting.
I love it.
Yes.
Tell me about the crappie fishing, man.
Hey, Lake Levon, the crappie are at several depths over there. Guide Tommy Azale said the crappie, or some of them are bunched up 12 foot deep right on the bottom. Others are in 25 foot deep in the treetops at about 10 foot suspended. So the chartreuse blue stump bug by Bonehead on the light jig head, spinning tackle and fluorocarbon light line's the best setup. That's old Tommy Azale and one of his clients there. They were on some pretty good size ones last week.
Oh, this photo's those guys there?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Oh, what a great picture. Thank you so much for sharing the pictures. More importantly, Rick, thank you so much for putting up with Jorge and Bree. I know it's not, it's a thankless job, but more importantly, we're gonna get them back out there, and I'm coming the next time.
Hey, Rick, those folks you work with are first class right there, buddy. I sure enjoyed them.
All right, well, they're part of your team, too. Thank you for everything you do. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the Upper Fresh region hotspots. Rick Carter says Cadillo Lake grass lines are producing some big bass on punch rigs, 1 ounce weight on 50-pound braid. Use a heavy rod for full contact fishing. And then Levon has crappies biting in 25 feet of water, suspended in 10 to 12 feet. A chartreuse and blue stump bugs by Boneheads are gonna be the best baits, Bree.
I was there after.
Yeah, man, you was there. That's what you were there after.
I was there after the big one. That's all right. We sure had fun. Well, y'all, we're continuing around the state of Texas, hitting up the lower coast and middle fresh regions, and we return on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, so stay hooked.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Contender Boats, performance through innovation. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. CCA Star, fishing fun for giant prizes and scholarships. Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. Power Pole, swift, silent, secure. And King Sailfish Mounts, www.kingsailfish.com.
At Yamaha, reliability is a family tradition. Meet the next generation. 4 new advanced technology-inspired inline 4-cylinder performers. Bred from the reliability and boater satisfaction that is part of Yamaha's DNA. They prove that when power gets lighter, faster, stronger, and smarter, boating gets even better. And more satisfying for boaters like you.
Hey, how do you like your Contender? How do I like my Contender? What's not to like? Dude, I just saw a contender, and man, I gotta get me one.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left, there's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Okay guys, we talk about CCA every week. The CCA Texas Star Tournament is hot and it shows no sign of a cool down with a little over a week left to go. William Latham of Baytown and Kevin Gorski of Houston will be leaving this year's awards banquet towing a brand new 23 Haney boat package after landing their catch of a lifetime. William was enjoying some fishing with some youngsters at a local hotspot when a simple bait change changed his life in the form of $50,000 redfish.
Wow.
Congratulations, guys. That is so awesome.
I'm so happy for you guys. Good job, guys.
Good job. All right, Captain Chad Kinney is now on the line with your Lower Coast Region report. So, Chad, let's hear it.
So, fishing is great down here still. It's remaining solid, and I expect that all the way through October here easy. So, the inshore, the trout bite's really going off in Corpus Christi Bay. Talked to Doug Stanford up there, and he said it's really going well. So look for the trout and the redfish also along the lower coast surf and around the first guts there. But heading to the trout there, like I said, Captain Doug Stanford, he said it's been excellent. He's been free-lining some live shrimp there around the wells and stuff like that. And basically the best thing to do is I like using like a 2 to 3 out little circle hook. You're not going to get as many hookups on that, but you're going to be a lot better on the fish. You start using treble hooks and stuff, which work really well. You might get them gut hooked down there, and survival rate's not too good on those trout there. So if you're able to do that, it works great. And it's also a lot of 15 to 17-inch fish. He said if you're also the Berkeley white shrimp is working real well with about a 1/4 ounce jig head around the wells. And he said there's some tarpon also mixed in there, about 5 foot also with that. And if you're looking for some of the bigger fish, he said the croaker and piggies are working really great on a free line as well. So on that, I'd just like to do like a 25 to 40 pound fluorocarbon leader with like a 5/0 tail hook. And the key thing when you're live baiting like that, guys, is to go ahead and give the fish time to eat it. You know, they're going to hit that fish no matter what. If it's a piggy or a live mullet or a croaker, they're going to eat it head first. And they got to get down to that hook, which is normally in the top of the back or down on the belly there. So give them plenty of time. And the way you do this is keep your rod tip up. And when you get a bite, just kind of slowly bend it towards them. You feel a line taunt when you got them straight at it. Go ahead and set the hook once. Go ahead and reel fast. I see a lot of people that don't reel quick enough because a lot of those trout are going to move. You know, they're going to run to the boat. They're going to run left and right on you. So don't reel 2 cranks in quick because that line's going to run to the right or left. And to keep up with them, and you'll go ahead and get that line taunt and go ahead and catch a bunch of fish like that. If you're missing some fish on that, if you're getting bites and keep missing them and stuff like that, another good little trick if you're live baiting like that is if you got bait caster, go ahead and click your spool open to free spool, let them run 10, 20 feet, click it over, get taunt, set the hook, using a spinning rod outfit, go ahead and click it over, use your index finger, and go and use that as a trigger mechanism. When you get that bite, let them run for 15, 20 feet, do the same thing and hook them up, and you'll improve a lot on the hook set there. Moving over to the redfish, they're moving along there on the lower coast here around the surf and the first guts there. You know, look for birds, working the bait. Best thing to use there is also live bait, some croaker, piggies, finger mullet, and then best thing on that is make sure the conditions are going to be good. You know, seas like 3 foot or less. We got some tropical stuff coming towards us, so make sure y'all look at the weather before you head on out there. But the redfish have been really good on that live bait set. The same thing in the hook set, you know, feed those fish a little bit like that. And the redfish are going to be a little tougher. They're going to get it down their crunchers in there. Go ahead and set the hook and use about a 25. And if you're fishing the surf, I'd go ahead and go, you know, about 40 to 60 pound on that fluorocarbon leader and be good. Also try a Carolina rig with that. If you want to, about a 1/4 ounce to even up to a 1 ounce weight with that. Got a picture of a heck of a big bull redfish here with Captain Danny Contreras out here. It's about a 40, 50 pound bull red they released there.
That's a big one. Hey, Chad, go ahead and tell us about the red snapper, and then I'm going to bring in the Navionics because that's what we're featuring this week. Go ahead.
I got you. Tell you what, the offshore, the red snapper has been on fire. It always is here, and it's just been great on federal and state waters. And on that red snapper there on the Navionics, you're going to see the fish haven there, and there's tons of fish in there. State waters, 4 per person. It'll open up after September 4th year round. So it's been really good. And best thing to do there right now is fresh bait's working great. You can get it here, at my shop at Laguna Madre Baits or anywhere else. We can get some fresh stuff. Try some squid, spot croakers, sardines. Where you can get, best thing you do is use like 100 to 150 pound leader. I like using the heavier stuff a little bit like that because you get some bigger fish like that. They got gill plates on the sides there so they're going to cut you off. So get some of that bigger stuff like that. And use a VMC circle hook, about a 10 to 13 out. I like using the 13s. They got a bigger gap on them. When they're hooked in the corner of their mouth, it's going to be easier to roll them on out. And then use a bank weight about 5 to 12 ounces, depending on the current there. And also look for suspended fish there. They're going to be, this time of year, the blue water's coming in. They're starting to warm up. Everything's moving up. So go ahead and free line or use a lighter jig, like a 2 to 3 ounce Williamson flutter jig. Works great. And got a picture there of just, matter of fact, yesterday of a great trip. We had some girls out there, and Christina, had a bunch of red snapper like that. We had a box full of them.
Man, that's looking good, dude. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the Navionics. And we're talking about the area that is right up there on the North Padre Island, the Fish Haven area. Now, one of the things that's happening right now, guys, in 65 feet of water is that the snappers are staging on all these little ledges and all these little points. So if you look at your Navionics on your sonar, as well as use your fishing chip and what your graph is telling you, and look for all the little stuff on the bottom. That's where the fish are holding. You also have some kingfish that are running in this area here. So, it's on fire right there, right, Chad?
Yeah, sure is.
All right, so tell me what else you got going on offshore.
Yeah, tell them what tarpon are still along here on the lower coast. So guys like to do it. That's excellent. On the jetties and surf there. Try some live mullet on the Carolina rig, just drifting or bump trolling. Make sure the weather's conducive on that one also. 1 to 3, 2 to 4 foot seas are best. Use a 9 to 13 out circle hook. I kind of like going with the smaller hooks personally with about an 80 pound leader. And for some of the smaller fish and more action, try like a Rapala skitter walk or bucktail jigs around the bait balls. You see some bait balls moving through there, go ahead and work those. But the bigger tarpon normally are going to be more along that mullet and bumping on the bottom there. And if you start getting broken off on those bait balls, normally it's going to be Spanish mackerel, kingfish, stuff like that. So if you guys want to go ahead and get a steel leader ready, have it ready in your arsenal there. If you want to have some good action on that stuff. We got a great photo here of Captain Leif Wolverton on South Padre Island there at the jetties. Got a nice release of a tarpon there.
All right, Chad. Well, we appreciate your report this week. Very thorough. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at the lower coast hotspots from Chad's region. Chad says that this week we're going to actually make sure that we go trout fishing. The bite is on in Corpus Christi Bay. Look for the trout and the redfish along the lower coast. Surf around the first gut. And then offshore, red snappers and tarpon fishing is excellent in both federal and state waters. The tarpon continue to be caught along the lower coast jetties and in the surf.
Well, Rick, you missed out because I had a great time with Steven Johnston over the weekend on Sam Rayburn and Toledo Bend catching bass and crappie. So, Steven, how's the bite looking for this weekend?
It looks like it's going to pick up a little bit. We're going to, they're talking about that eclipse coming back in about 7 years, and it's kind of been a big joke around my whole region about the fishing really got tough, and we don't know if it was the lunar eclipse last week or what's going on, but I think in 7 years I'm going to take a couple days off when that thing comes back. But we're going to talk about some crappie fishing to start with. The crappie bite over at Sam Rayburn and Toledo Bend. Most years when we get these dog days of summer, when we get these 100-degree days, the water temp's 92 degrees, it really just goes to funk. We just can't catch them. But one thing this year, everything's staying strong. The bite is steady. I'm not going to say it's unbelievable, but the bite's good. We've got high water on both lakes. Most time our lakes are 2 to 3, 4 feet down by now. They're starting to pull them for kind of the fall, winter pull, but both lakes are full. So I think that's really kind of what's keeping the fish strong. The crappie are coming off of bridges, main lake bridges, creek bridges. The creeks will really be coming into a play here in the next couple weeks as the fish really start getting into some of that kind of early fall as the shad start getting in the creeks and start moving back right here the first couple weeks of September. Most of the fish right now are coming from 12 to 16 foot down, and we're catching them they're really from 25 to 30 foot deep. So always remember that crappie will come up and get that minnow or that jig, but very seldom he'll go down and get it. So you always want to make sure you got that bait up above the fish. You can catch some fish with some jigs, the little tube jigs, the little hair jigs, stuff like that, but it's best just to keep the minnow. Bree saw it the last couple days. I mean, when you drop that minnow down there, you're not getting bit. You can take that jig and kind of jig it right next to that minnow and kind of get that school of those fish kind of excited. And as soon as you catch one on jig, you'll wind up catching 3 or 4 right there on the minnow. There's quite a few catfish showing up too, mixed in with the crappie, and there's kind of a good mix. Some yellow bass around the piles too. You can always tell if somebody's not fishing with a bobber stopper and they're getting on the bottom. Always those catfish are hanging on the bottom of the piles, picking up all the scraps. But it's looking like the next week here at my region, that Toledo Bend, Sam Rayburn, those crappie are going to stay strong.
Tell me about this photo, Bub.
Well, that one picture is my wife, and I'm going to give her a shout-out because this week is our 20th anniversary. So I think I've been telling everybody I get a gold star for putting up with her, but I think she gets that. She never gets to go. So last week I had a couple days in there we weren't crappie fishing, so brought her out there, and she caught a couple nice big old slabs. And then that other photo is a group that fishes me out of Watson, Louisiana, and they had Brandon there. He's 3 years old, and this was his first of many, they said, guided trip. So boy, he really got to crank in a bunch of fish, and we sat back and really just had a great time with them fishing.
That's the way you start those youngins off, huh, Bub?
That is. That's the whole deal. You get some bites and have a good time.
All right, tell me. Go ahead.
Okay, like to jump over at Lake Livingston. The bass fishing is good to fair. Throwing Texas rig, wacky worms out on the end of the docks. Once the sun gets up, if you could skip a spinnerbait, a frog, or chatterbait up in the shade is really working good there for the bass. The white bass are showing up good on the south end of the lake. They're trolling hellbenders with pet spoons, and if you can find any spoons with green or chartreuse color, some of the guys said that's kind of a secret going over there right now. So some of the guys are just taking some dip and dye or some regular from Carlisle paint and painting some spoons. And I'm working real good for the white bass. And then the crappie, there's quite a few crappie showing up. And what they're doing, a lot of those guys there, it's not deep at Livingston, and they've got Christmas trees and any kind of limbs and trash around the ends of their docks. And the crappie are coming 7 to 12 feet of water, and they're catching them from daylight to about 9, 10 o'clock. And once that sun gets up, it's really getting tough. And real quick, had a report come in from Lake Livingston this week. Hadn't talked a lot about it this year, but bass fishing is good around the docks and any kind of isolated stumps around the docks. Throwing a square bill crankbait 1.5 or 1.0 is working real good. Another bait is some kind of weightless jerk bait like a fluke, something like that, just representing the shad. So, and one thing to keep eye on this week is the weather. We got that tropical storm, kind of out there, really don't know what it's going to do. So before you go launch a boat this weekend, just kind of take a good quick look at that wind and see exactly what it's going to do and be safe out there.
All right, thank you so much for taking Bree, Stephen. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the middle fresh hot spots. He says crappie fish around the bridges and docks both during the day and at night, and you can catch them on jigs and live bait. And then the best depth to fish for them is 12 to 16 feet deep. Use a slip cork so you'll know how deep you're fishing, and then you can adjust it as you go shallower or deeper. And if you're fishing from the bank, then you can cast out and have your minnow at the right depth, right?
Why aren't we catching any crappie? I'm a no. We're headed to the Upper Coast region next and then seeing what cool new products Dave has for us at the CCA workbench. So sit tight, start your weekend, ring in, and we'll be right back, right, Dave?
Catfish bait.
Oh, that's stanky.
Oh. That'll wake you up, boy.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, and Pathfinder. Rapala. Catch the latest at rapala.com. Yeti, built for the wild. Building Conservation Trust, CCA's National Habitat Program. StarTron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
The ultimate predator has evolved again. Now, Yamaha VMAX SHO Performance is prowling the waters in 4 hungry, exciting new models. With their 4 valves per cylinder and double overhead cam fuel-injected design, these advanced 4-stroke Predators are taking performance to a whole new level. Vicious, lean, efficient. VMAX SHO. The pack is growing.
Thanks for tuning in to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes as well as special segments right on our homepage. Just head to TexasInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up.
Welcome to Power Pole's Tip of the Week. This week's tip is all about the Power Pole Micro. What is the Micro, you ask? The Micro is a self-contained 3/4-inch spike driving shallow water anchor system that attaches on all small vessels, be it a john boat, a kayak, a canoe, a paddleboard, or a technical poling skiff just like the 17 Maverick Mirage. Now the cool thing about the Micro is you can adjust the speed up and down, faster or slower, and also the pressure which drives into your bottom, hard sand or soft mud. It also attaches to any 12-volt battery system on your vessel via a wiring that plugs in and plugs out. Now next week we're going to discuss the optional lithium battery pack which eliminates the wiring system, and that's this week's Power Pole Tip of the Week.
Well, we are here at the CCA workbench.
Yes, we are.
I want you to know
this is some good stuff. Sudden impact. This is
Lord be.
Hey man, this is not for human consumption, so don't try to eat it.
Anyway,
this is a sudden impact fiber enriched catfish bait, and what that means, fiber enriched means you can just get your your little 6/0 treble hook and just jam it down in there, pull it out. If you want some more on there, put it back in there. Pull it out, and it just keeps that, because it's got all that fiber in there. You know, you stir it all up till it gets soft, and then you can just put your hook.
You just put a little water in there.
No, you don't have to put water in there. But what if you don't eat the? Oh man, see that's bad. It
doesn't taste that bad though.
That's
Dave.
No. That's no bueno
really
for me. But anyway, pull it out and repeat it, and don't leave it out because your dog will eat it too.
The dog just did.
The dog just ate it. Anyway, this is the new Yozuri Pins minnow. They come in different sizes. This is the little tiny one. I liked it because it's so tiny, and I like anything that'll eat little silver sides or little glass minnow. And that's a little sinker. You know, it's 2 3/4 inches, 3/16 of an ounce. You can still throw it. It's got a little weight balance, transfer system inside. 4 or 5 little BBs that'll roll. Comes in 20 different colors, all kinds of different colors, and really pretty. Sinking or floating. Stainless steel split rings on there, so it's gonna perfect for saltwater. Yozuri Pins minnow. Go to yozuri.com and find that sucker. Now we've got some of these. These are really cool. These are from Lunker Hut. I like a lot of their stuff. If you're bass fishing and whatnot. These are these are called the fillet, the Lunker Hunt fillet, and you've got the crawfish pattern there, and this is a little bass. There's a 3-inch sinking and rattling bait. It's good for just about any species in freshwater that'll eat a little.
Well, I can tell by the weight of these, though, they can really be fishing deep.
Yes, and you can throw them a long way. It has got that nose down design, and when it gets on the bottom, it looks like a little fish foraging in the sand or in the rocks. Really loud rattle chamber, 3/8 ounce to an ounce. They make the 3/8 ounce and an ounce.
This has to be close to an ounce.
Yeah, exactly.
Goodness.
And it comes in a lot of different colors, 8 colors, and that's from lunkerhunt.com. This is another. I got a lot of plugs here tonight. These are from Academy, H2O Express Coastal. I think that's their Academy's brand. I'm almost positive.
Right, it is.
And these are called the Bait Brigade Extreme Jerk Bait, and I've been liking these kind of double baits for a while. And this is I got the natural mullet, you got the glass minnow. These will dive 3 to 5 feet, and they have number 6 VMC treble hooks on them. They also come with a 5-inch version.
That is really
That's
cool.
a floater. It's got rattles inside. It's good for trout, redfish, whatever.
It looks like 2 mullets swimming along,
it
man,
does.
singing a song.
It does. It looks. I like those sort of things.
Pretty cool.
All right, this is the CCA sand spike rod holder. It's a 44-inch rod holder. The CCA's got a big thing going on now with the Coastal Conservation Association, and this is a 44-inch rod holder. It adds stability. It pushes in real easy. It's got a really sharp point, so it'll go deep into the ground and still have some enough length if you have a long rod. Heavy duty sleeve at the top to protect it. Go to academy.com. Make sure you rinse that sucker off if you use it in salt water.
Yeah, man.
And it's really great for if you're on the beach or on the side of the river and you wanted to sit back and have a cold one while your rod does all the work.
I think it'll work. We'll have to send that with Bree next time,
Rick,
along with the catfish.
I can't believe you did that. I'm still kind of...
I would never use something that I wouldn't try myself, Bree.
All right, that's cool. On catfish, that's fine. Exciting things are happening in the Upper Coast region, and Caleb Harp is on the line to tell you what will be on the end of your line this weekend. How's it going, Caleb?
Hey, pretty good, Bree. How are you?
I'm okay. I just saw Rick eat catfish stuff, so I'm kind of grossed out, but you go ahead and take our mind off that real quick.
Let's do it. I'll take your mind off by talking about some of these redfish.
Okay, sounds good.
Hey, I've talked about some of these open water schools of redfish for a while here, but, and I hate to talk, sound like a broken record, but they're still doing the deal with this calm weather that we've had. These open water schools, they're a lot of fun, and they're also one of the most productive ways to catch redfish in the Galveston Bay complex. Sure, you can still catch redfish in the marsh or on the shorelines right now as well, but those huge open water schools they're pretty hard to compete with. There's several different schools all along the Houston Ship Channel, but that most consistent school that I've, is one that I've talked about before on my Navionics report a couple weeks ago, between Bird Island and the Houston Ship Channel, between right around marker 35. Just look for slicks, or if they're on top like they've been in this calm weather, they'll be blowing bait out of the water. Big spoons and big swim baits are still going to be producing, allowing you to cast way out in front of that school, allowing you to have better bites. But also going over to the trout, the trout bite's been pretty slow this week due to the lack of tide and also other variables. But, once that tide gets a little better this weekend, that bite will get better depending on what this tropical storm does this weekend. That upper Houston Ship Channel between markers 56 and 72 has still been holding a lot of trout. Most of those trout right now, they've been eating a whole lot of shad. Their bellies are really full whenever you're cleaning them, and they're also going to be regurgitating all over the boat, making things nasty. But smaller paddle tails, matching the hatch, like a mirror or soft shad, they've been doing really good. And being that the tide's been pretty weak, we've been throwing 8-ounce gearheads. They've been really suspended. They've been in the first, couple feet of the water column. So not having to work it real slow. And anything chartreuse or limetreuse color pattern's been really good since the water's been really green. And then going offshore, Sunday morning, Captain Mike LaRue with the LaRue Guide Service and his son Shane LaRue went ahead and they landed the potential state record tarpon out of Galveston, weighing in at 229 pounds. This fish was over 90 inches long and had a girth of over 47 inches. This fish was caught on an orange and chartreuse coon pop. And coon pops are pretty much what everybody uses around here for tarpon unless it's shad. But being that it's been so calm, they've been having to cast and troll, those coon pops. And most of those tarpon right now, they've been out in about 35 foot of water out of Galveston. And I think I got a picture there of that tarpon there, that they weighed in at 229. So that's pretty much going to swamp the, the existing, Texas state record at, I think it was like 210 or 211 pounds. So they got that one going.
Crazy.
And then,
go ahead.
Yeah, pretty big fish. And then the triple tail, the triple tail has still been pretty thick on Sabine Beach. Like Sabine Beachfront has been a notorious triple tail breeding ground around the summertime. They're more thick there than anywhere else on the Texas coast. Live shrimp under a popping cork or even free line is hard to beat, but a small soft plastic on a really light jig head worked really well as well. Triple tail up to about 18 pounds have been caught, so there's some really big triple tail out of Sabine right now.
All right, thank you so much, Caleb. You have we good to go here. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the CCA Upper Coast hotspots. He says inshore redfish and open water schools off of the Houston Ship Channel. Look for the slicks and schools of blowing the baits out of the water. Big spoons and big swim baits are gonna catch those reds. Then offshore tarpon in about 35 feet of water out of Galveston. Trolling and casting coon pops and drifting shads. Potential state record was just caught. We saw the picture of that. You know, it's a shame to actually see that big fish killed, but you know, if it is a state record, you know, that's the only way that you can qualify, unfortunately, to kill those big fish, whether it's a dolphin, whether it's a wahoo. You know, people get real sensitive because it's a fish that we don't eat, that tarpon.
That's right.
What's wrong, Bree?
So bad. You
What's
and your
wrong?
catfish goo over here. I lost so much respect for you. Your mama kissed you with that mouth, Rick. Oh my goodness.
I don't
Thank
kiss
y'all
my
for
mama.
watching. It's getting stinky on set here. We're just gonna take
Thanks,
off
guys.
and see you next week. Happy fishing. Oh my God,
Give
I'm
me a
gonna
kiss.
throw up.